Hello everybody, this is Josh Blazer from GameWisdom.com. Welcome to another Darkest Dungeon Basics video. For this one, we are looking at the Man-at-Arms. This was one of the newer classes added during Early Access, and has become a favorite of mine when you get into the Veteran and Champion level quests. So, let's take a look. The Man-at-Arms is one of the more defensive classes in the game. He's also one of the three next to the Crusader and the Houndmaster, who has some tanking abilities, but the Man-at-Arms is the top choice of the three. First, basic skill, Crush. Simply, he attacks something with his giant mace. Nothing special or fancy about that. Rampart lets him both stun, knock back, and it moves him forward. A really useful skill for basically getting around if he gets pushed back or if you need to move forward while stunning. Has a decent stun base. Not amazing in terms of damage, but you can't have it all, right? Bellow, one of his enemy debuffs, lowers the dodge and speed of everyone on the enemy's side. It's a decent skill, but if we look at skills other ones, like the Vulnerability Hex, or, let me pull that up here, -5 crit, or -5 accuracy. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. This lowers the dodge. That may be the only skill that lowers speed of an enemy, at least from a quick look. No, that lowers protection. So that does help. It's one of the few that will actually make the enemy slower. But the dodge isn't as strong as the marks from the other classes, as you can see. But being able to hit the entire enemy party does give it some utility. Next, Defender. This is one of his two top tier skills in my opinion. Defender is the similar skill that you see a lot of the heavier enemies use, when they will basically raise their protection and guard one of their allies. This is the Man-at-Arms variant. As you can see, what it does, it raises the protection of the Man-at-Arms, which, for those of you who missed previous videos, protection gives you a damage resistance from all sources outside of bleed and blight. And he will guard an ally, meaning that if the ally is targeted by a single attack skill, he will take that hit instead of the ally. Obviously, you can see the utility of that if you bring glass cannon or low health characters with the Man-at-Arms, like the Grave Robber, the Jester, and the Arbalest. Being able to raise his protection is huge, as it gives the Man-at-Arms the greatest protection out of all the classes in the game. Because remember, these buffs can stack, I think, 2 or 3 times. This skill, when you level it up at the guild, it will raise the protection it offers. See, I should have a high up one. Yeah. So at the highest level, he can basically get up to 95% protection, meaning he will resist 95% damage coming in at him. And that is huge, especially when you pair with his next skill, Retribution. As you can see, what it does, while it doesn't do a lot of damage, it basically is a self-marking skill, similar to the Crusaders. Let me see, do I have a Crusader to show? No, I don't. But the Crusader does have a skill that lets him mark himself, thereby drawing enemies to him. The difference is that when he marks himself, he activates his repose stance. What happens is, if the Man-at-Arms gets attacked by anything, whether it's a stress hit or a physical damage, he will respond with a counterattack. Now, it only lasts 2 turns, but if you're up against a group of enemies or a boss who attacks multiple times per turn, this can proc several times. And when you level it up, as you can see, it becomes stronger. So at a level 4, I can actually pull up to level 5, at the full rank, if he gets hit and he does the counterattack, he will do plus 20% damage with that attack, and he'll have a plus 2% crit. The dream combination, though, is the enemy attacks him, he dodges, and then he returns with a critical slam. Very great skill, when you pair this up with Defender, basically lets him take very little damage and return hopefully a lot more. If the enemy attacks with a group affecting skill, Defender will not protect against that, but Retribution will still go off. It's basically whenever he takes any kind of attack. His last two skills are buffs for his party. First, Command lets him raise the accuracy and crit chance of the entire party. It's basically a smaller version of the Jester's Battle Ballad, except that the Man-at-Arms will not raise the speed. Decent skill, not amazing, but can be helpful in the right circumstance. And then Bolster raises dodge and raises speed, so he basically has a little bit of both split between what the Jester can do with one. Of course, the obvious difference is that Bolster raises dodge, which can be very useful, and more importantly, it can be used in any position like Command. Now let's take a look at the skills. Again, these three are standard across everyone. First, a really great one, Maintain Equipment, raises his protection and damage. Just perfect no matter how you really build him out. I think that goes out. Nothing else really needs to be said there. Tactics raises his dodge and crit, and raises his companions as well. Another really powerful camping skill by the Man-at-Arms. He has some really great camping skills. Again, keeping with the motif that he is the Defender support class. Instruction, dodge, and speed. So it's basically like giving the character the Bolster skill, or a layer version of it, that lasts for 4 turns, or 4 combats. And lastly, weapons practice, which is basically a little bit of mixing some of these up, gives plus 10% damage, and has a 75% chance of giving everyone plus 5% crit on top of that. Very powerful skill, as you can tell. Give it to a party with like the Leper, the Abomination, Hellion, and they can really go to town. So let's talk pros and cons. The Man-at-Arms is the ultimate support class in the game, and as well as the best tank. His ability to draw enemy fire to him and still counter the enemy at the same time is very useful. It makes him very popular for fighting either large enemies such as the Slavering Ghoul, the Crab Guy from the Cove, as well as bosses who either attack multiple times per turn like the Unchoked Flesh, or heavy hitters like the Sonorous Prophet, the Swine Prince, etc. Being able to raise his protection to this level, he's the only class that can do that, again giving him a lot more survivability. The only thing that he would be hard against would be Blight and Bleed. But he has some pretty high Blight and Bleed resist compared to the other classes. Now this one has a quirk, so don't look at him. But you can see that they can really take these hits compared to other classes. And obviously his camping skills are some of the best in the game. While it may cost a lot of time, you can really get a party ready for either a tough fight or a boss fight with that. With that said, the Man-at-Arms does have a few weaknesses. As a fighter for either the front row or mid, he doesn't do as much damage compared to other classes, like the Hellion, the Leper. I think he's about tied with the Bounty Hunter, as you can see. But this is not a class that's meant to do direct damage. He doesn't have any Blight or Bleed skills. He can't really heal himself or heal others. He's mainly about taking damage and hopefully returning some of that with Retribution. His buffs are pretty nice, but you're probably going to use him for his protection abilities here and here. With that said, good parties to build would be those where you have classes that aren't as bulky as him, such as the Grave Robber, the Arbalist, the Jester, as well as you want to take a party that doesn't want to rely on a dedicated healer. Again, since he's going to absorb the bulk of the damage, it does allow you to get away with not having a Vestal or a Cultist to some extent. Of course, keep in mind, if he does get critically hit, it can really take away his health. But as you can see on the left side here, under his health stat, he has the highest health out of any character in the game. His dodge is also really good too. Up there with the Houndmaster and the Jester. I think he's the only one who beats him. For quirks that you want to go for him, obviously attack is nice, but he's never going to hit the high levels without powerful trinkets like the other frontline warriors. Instead, quirks that will raise his protection or dodge are really great. Because remember, you can get his protection to obscene levels and then just let him shrug off most damage. One of the most hilarious things is if he takes a critical hit for like only 5 or 6 points of damage, compared to someone else who could probably take 20 or 30. For trinkets, again, those that will, let me equip that and sort. Those that raise protection are really useful. Those that raise dodge are also great. Let's see, do I have anything else that raises dodge at this level? Oh yeah, the Calming Crystal. Anything like that will help him out, because remember, this is not the class you're going to want him for his offensive ability. You want him to stun enemies, you want him to take the hits, and you want him to basically keep everyone else protected. One of my most common uses for him is to basically have him do nothing but use Retribution and Defender. He'll use Defender first on one of the lower health characters, and then he'll just keep Retribution back and forth between the two, thereby drawing attacks to him and just being able to take it. Now what's interesting about the Man-at-Arms, he has a special trinket right here. Oh wait, that's not it. Where is that trinket? I know I still have it. Don't tell me I sold it. I was pretty sure I had it. He has a very special trinket that raises his defense values and speed, I believe, only when he's in the 4th position. And when he's in that 4th position, he can't use the bulk of his skills. So if we come back over here, wow, I thought I had it. He can't attack, stun, bellow, but he can basically use Defender, Command, and Bolster. So he becomes essentially a back row support buffer. Very interesting way to build him. I haven't personally used him that way, but the trinket does turn him into a back row character if you want to use other frontline characters along with him. But still, very great character. And again, when you get to the veteran and champion level quests, being able to have someone who can shrug off damage like this and keep everyone else alive becomes more and more important. Again, his only real weakness at that stage would be Blight, Bleed, and Stress. So if you bring enough anti-venom advantages or have someone like the Plague Doctor on standby, he can just basically be your one-stop defender. One last point to keep in mind, even though he will mark himself, there is still no guarantee that he will be targeted by everyone. The mark simply raises the chance that he will be attacked. So there is still that possibility that if you're up against a heavy hitter, even when he's marked, the guy may still target someone else. Which is why most of the time you're going to use Defender on top of Retribution. Because at that point, it basically gives you a 50-50 chance that he will take that hit. Either the guy will attack him, or it will hopefully attack the one that you are protecting. With that said, it also is really useful if you're up against enemies who mark your characters, because he'll know exactly who to defend at that point and can absorb those hits. Of course, as I said earlier, if the enemy attacks with a multi-person attack, such as the Sonorous Prophets when he causes the ceiling to collapse, if the man-at-arms is defending someone and he gets attacked at the same time, he will not defend against that. It's the same rule as when you're up against enemies who are defending. If you hit them with if you hit the same person who he's defending as well as the defender, both will take that hit. And that goes also for Blight and Bleed skills. But I think that's everything I need to say about the man-at-arms. Again, while he may not show his usefulness in the early stages, they become more and more powerful when you get to the champion veteran levels, when the enemies are now able to hit very hard. So, with that said, thanks a lot for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out game-wisdom.com for posts and podcasts relating to game design and industry. And, of course, our Patreon campaign, GW Bicer. And our Twitch channel, which is also... Patreon is Game Wisdom. Twitch is GW Bicer. Too many GWs to keep track of. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back with looking at another class real soon. Take care.